Sometimes Allah sends reminders in the smallest and quietest ways, and many people don't even realize it. We wait for big signs, big messages, something dramatic that shakes our heart. But Allah in His wisdom often sends us something simple, something we see every day but never think about. Even the presence of little insects entering your home can be one of those signs. It may sound strange at first, but when you understand the deeper meaning behind these moments, your heart becomes more awake and more connected to Allah. You start to look at your surroundings with a softer heart, a heart that listens instead of only seeing. Imagine a moment when you're sitting alone in your room, thinking about life, feeling a little stressed or distracted, and suddenly you notice a small ant walking across the floor, or a tiny butterfly near the window, or even a harmless little insect flying around the light. Most people brush it away without caring, but some people pause. They wonder, why now? Why today? Why here? And sometimes that pause is the beginning of guidance, because Allah can use anything to send comfort, warning, or reminder. Nothing in this world happens by accident. Not a leaf falls without His knowledge. Not a creature moves without His permission. So how could it be meaningless when one of His tiny creations enters the space you live in? There are times when insects come into a home because something is spiritually out of balance. Maybe the atmosphere has been heavy, maybe the home needs more remembrance of Allah, maybe someone in the house has been feeling distant from their Creator. People don't realize how sensitive the unseen world is. When a home is filled with Quran, dhikr, dua, and mercy, even the tiniest creatures feel it. And when a home becomes spiritually dark or distracted, creatures that normally stay away begin appearing. Some scholars even mention that certain insects, like ants or moths, tend to show up when a home needs cleansing, not just physically but spiritually too. They are part of the ecosystem Allah created, and they react to environment and energy in ways humans don't fully understand. But sometimes the appearance of insects is not a warning. Sometimes it is a sign of mercy. A reminder to slow down, a reminder to reflect, a reminder to recognize that everything in this world glorifies Allah in their own way. Even an ant is making tasbih. Even a tiny moth is fulfilling its role in the universe. When one enters your home, it could be a moment Allah wants you to remember Him, a moment to reconnect, a moment to look around your home and ask yourself, is this space filled with light, or have I been too busy, too stressed, too distracted to remember Allah like I should? Many times, people say that the moment they started drifting away from prayer or stopped reciting Quran, they felt the atmosphere of their home change. Some felt more insects appear, more disturbance, more discomfort. When they returned to dhikr and Quran, those things slowly disappeared. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. When you invite Allah's presence into your home through worship, your environment becomes peaceful. Even the creatures respond to that harmony. There are also moments where insects appear to remind us of patience. A small ant might be walking for minutes just to carry a tiny piece of food. A bee might fly long distances searching for something sweet. A butterfly goes through stages of darkness inside a cocoon before it blossoms. Allah could be showing you these things because your heart needs that lesson right now. Maybe you are struggling, maybe you feel stuck, maybe you feel like nothing in your life is moving, and suddenly you notice a tiny creature working silently with patience and persistence. That could be a silent message from Allah that your journey is also in progress, even if you don't see the full picture yet. Sometimes insects enter your home during moments when you feel lonely. And instead of seeing them as a disturbance, what if you saw them as company sent by Allah to remind you that you're never alone? You live in a world full of signs, full of messages, full of reminders. Allah is not far from you. His signs come in unexpected forms. His love reaches you in different ways. His guidance can come through something as small as a tiny insect crawling on your windowsill. And sometimes the presence of insects is a call to gratitude. You see how small they are, how fragile, how dependent, and yet Allah provides for them. They survive, they eat, they live, they navigate this world without stress. And the moment you see them, you remember, if Allah can take care of something so small, surely He can take care of you. Surely He can protect you, guide you, provide for you, and bring light back into your life. So when insects appear in your home unexpectedly, don't ignore it. Pause for a moment, reflect, ask yourself what Allah might want to tell you. Maybe the message is to clean your physical space. Maybe it is to clean your spiritual space. Maybe it is to return to prayer, return to Quran, return to dhikr. Maybe it is to be patient, to trust the process, to keep moving even when life feels slow. Maybe it is simply to notice the beauty in small things, to feel humbled, to feel connected to the creation of Allah. Whatever the reason is, remember that Allah never sends anything without purpose. Even a small insect entering your home could be a whisper from the divine, guiding your heart back to Him gently and lovingly. When insects appear inside your home unexpectedly, especially when it happens more than once, most people only think of it as a normal part of life. A window was open, the weather changed, maybe there was light or food that attracted them, but a believer's heart sees the world differently. A believer knows that even the tiniest creature does not move without the knowledge of Allah. Every creation has a purpose, and nothing enters your home without Allah allowing it. And sometimes these small, surprising moments are gentle reminders meant to wake something inside you. Part 2 begins with an important question. What if these insects aren't coming to harm you, but to remind you? What if Allah is sending little signs to bring your attention back to something you've been ignoring? Maybe you've been too busy lately. Maybe your heart has been heavy. Maybe you've been drifting from certain good habits that used to bring you peace. Sometimes Allah sends reminders through life, sometimes through people, sometimes through difficulties, and sometimes through tiny creatures you never paid attention to. Imagine you're sitting peacefully in your room and suddenly a butterfly flies in, or a ladybug lands on your hand, or a honeybee hovers near you without harming you, or even a tiny ant appears in a place you've never seen ants before. Your first thought might be confusion, maybe annoyance, maybe surprise. But pause for a moment, ask yourself, why now? Why here? Why me? The believer always pauses because the believer never assumes that something is random. You see, in Islam, insects have been used again and again as signs and lessons. Allah did not choose to mention a camel or an elephant or a lion in Surah An-Naml, but He chose an ant. Allah did not choose a huge bird to protect Ibrahim as from Nimrod's army, but He sent tiny mosquitoes. Allah did not choose massive creatures to show the power of His creation, but He chose bees, and He dedicated an entire surah to them. When Allah chooses small creatures to carry great messages, it teaches you to stop underestimating anything He has created. So when these small creatures enter your home, especially when they appear in calm moments around your prayer area, near your Quran, or at times when your heart is struggling, it might be Allah gently pushing your heart to wake up. Maybe you've been making dua for clarity, asking Allah for guidance, crying silently about something only you know. And while you were expecting a sign in a dream, or a message from a person, or a big event in your life, Allah may be giving you something even more subtle, but deeply meaningful. An insect entering your home can be a reminder that your environment needs attention. Not physical attention, but spiritual attention. Sometimes it means reconnect with nature, step outside, breathe fresh air, slow down. Sometimes it means your heart needs a moment of silence, a moment of reflection. Sometimes it means Allah wants to remind you that you're not alone, that even in your quiet moments, He is sending His creation to surround you. These creatures live by the commands of Allah and do exactly what they are meant to do, and their presence around you might be telling you to return to that same level of obedience, simplicity, and purity. Think about bees. They symbolize productivity, healing, sweetness, and blessing. If a bee keeps coming near your window or entering your home without harming you, it can be a reminder to bring more barakah into your life, to be more gentle in your speech, to make your actions sweeter, to heal from something you've been carrying. Sometimes the presence of bees pulls your heart toward patience and calmness. Think about butterflies, creatures that symbolize transformation. They begin as something small, hidden, and almost invisible, but Allah transforms them into one of the most beautiful creations. So if butterflies suddenly appear in your home or around you, it could be a reminder that your transformation is coming, that your hardship won't last, that your patience is being noticed by Allah. It might be Allah whispering to your heart, your story isn't over yet. Something better is on the way. Think about ladybugs, known for bringing protection and gentle signs of mercy. When one appears near you, it can feel strangely calming, almost comforting. Perhaps that's because Allah is showing you a sign that He is guarding you even from things you don't see. Even ants can be meaningful. They represent discipline, order, teamwork, and productivity. If ants appear in your space, maybe it's a call to reorganize your life, fix your routines, wake up earlier, bring structure into your days, or even clear up unnecessary distractions. And sometimes insects come as reminders of gratitude. A tiny mosquito can remind you to say, Alhamdulillah, for comfort, protection, and ease. A small fly buzzing near you can remind you how weak humans are and how much we need Allah for every small thing. And when these creatures enter without harming you, maybe they're simply asking you, when was the last time you paused and reflected on the signs of Allah around you? Remember this, Allah does not send signs to confuse you. He sends them to redirect you, to comfort you, to wake you up, to reassure your heart that He is still with you, watching over you, guiding you even in the smallest ways. And these insects, these tiny, fragile, almost unnoticeable creations, are often the easiest way for Allah to whisper to your heart without overwhelming you. So the next time an insect enters your home, don't panic, don't rush to get rid of it. Pause, observe, reflect. Maybe you've been asking Allah for help, and this small creature is the first step toward that help. Maybe you've been stressed, and Allah wants you to take a moment of silence. Maybe your heart has been restless, and Allah wants you to reconnect with Him. Maybe it's time to make dua again, to recite a surah you've been neglecting, to return to dhikr, to renew your intention, or to repair something in your life. And even if you cannot understand the exact meaning, know that Allah never wastes a sign. Nothing enters your home accidentally. Nothing reaches your heart without purpose. Every creature carries a message, and sometimes that message is simply this: Allah sees you, Allah hears you, Allah is guiding you in ways you haven't noticed yet. Open your heart because the signs are already around you. There is something strange about how the smallest moments in life can touch the biggest parts of your heart. Part 3 is about what happens inside you when these insects appear, not just the physical event, but the emotional shift that comes with it. Because whether you like it or not, when a butterfly lands near you, or a bee keeps flying around you harmlessly, or a ladybug appears in a place you never expected, your heart reacts before your mind does. You feel something. You pause, you sense a change in the air, and that quiet reaction is often the real sign you needed. Human hearts are sensitive in ways we don't even understand. You can ignore people, you can ignore responsibilities, you can ignore your own routine, but you can't ignore what your heart feels. Your heart knows when something is not normal, and sometimes, when Allah sends a sign, it doesn't arrive with loud noise or dramatic warnings. It arrives in silence, in softness, in a creature so tiny you could crush it with a fingertip. Yet that creature ends up shaking your thoughts, your mood, your spiritual awareness. This part explains how Allah sends signs that speak directly to your inner world. Maybe you're exhausted from life. Maybe you've been overthinking something. Maybe you've been praying for a solution or begging Allah to give you clarity. And suddenly, in a moment you didn't plan, one of these insects enters your room. It moves around calmly, like it isn't scared. It sits on a wall or lands near you, just existing without harming anything. And for some reason it softens you, it humbles you, it pulls your attention back to the presence of Allah without a single word. There are times when the heart forgets its own strength. You deal with responsibilities, stress, fears, and disappointments. You go through heartbreak. You face trials you never thought you'd experience. And slowly your spiritual awareness goes dull. You pray, but it feels empty. You make dua, but you feel disconnected. You recite Quran, but your heart is distracted. And then something tiny interrupts your routine. Something so small yet so perfectly timed that your heart wakes up for the first time in weeks. This is how Allah brings the heart back. Not through fear, not through big shocks, but through gentle reminders that whisper instead of shout. A butterfly lands on your window as your eyes fill with tears from a prayer you made last night. A bee circles around you right when you're thinking about giving up on a dream. A ladybug appears on your book as you're reflecting on something painful. An ant walks across your sada mat when you're about to pray after a long break. These moments crack the wall around your heart. You start thinking, why now? Why here? What does this mean? Why does this feel different? You're not imagining it. Your heart is responding because your fitra recognizes the signs of Allah even when your mind is tired. The soul is always awake, always listening, always aware of the subtle ways Allah speaks to you. Human beings are strange. You can ignore reminders from people, but you can't ignore reminders from nature. Nature is pure. It doesn't flatter you, it doesn't lie to you, it doesn't judge you, it simply exists in obedience to Allah. And when it enters your space, it brings a piece of that obedience with it. This part digs deeper into what insects symbolize emotionally and spiritually. Butterflies represent hope. They remind you that after darkness, there is light. After restriction, there is freedom. After pain, there is growth. When a butterfly appears in your home or near you, it can make your heart feel lighter, almost like Allah is saying, hold on, your story is changing. Bees symbolize meaning, purpose, and productivity. When a bee enters your home without harming you, it can remind you that your life has direction even if you currently feel lost. It can push you to rebuild your routine, focus on healing, or bring more barakah into your daily habits. Bees move with intention. Their presence around you asks you to bring intention back into your own life. Ladybugs symbolize protection, gentleness, and calmness. They have a strange effect on people. When you see one, especially inside your home, you feel a sudden softness in your chest. It's almost like Allah is giving you a quiet sign of mercy, a gentle reassurance that things are going to be okay. Even ants can affect your inner world. Ants are disciplined. They keep working no matter what. Their presence can remind you to fix your environment, organize your life, or start rebuilding structure where chaos has taken over. And even though most people find ants annoying, they are still one of the strongest reminders that Allah's creation follows perfect order. But the emotional part goes deeper. Sometimes an insect appears at a moment when you're thinking about someone, missing someone, or hurting because of someone. And their appearance gives your heart a message you didn't expect. Maybe you're holding on to resentment and need to let it go. Maybe you're worrying too much about what people think of you. Maybe you're carrying a sadness that you haven't expressed. These moments often arrive at the perfect time to remind you, breathe, calm down, reconnect with your Creator. You might not hear words, but you feel meaning, you feel presence, you feel direction. And that's the miracle. You don't need language for your heart to understand Allah's signs. This part also shows how Allah knows exactly what your heart needs. Sometimes He sends you strength through a challenge. Sometimes He sends patience through a delay. And sometimes He sends peace through the appearance of a tiny creature that moves with complete dependence on Him. Allah doesn't need a big event to reach your heart. A moment that lasts only a few seconds can shift your entire mood, your thoughts, and your spiritual state. When these insects appear, your heart instinctively slows down, your mind stops rushing for a moment. Everything becomes quiet. That silence is one of the greatest gifts your soul can receive. Because in that silence you remember Allah, you remember your purpose, you remember that life is bigger than your stress. You remember that your worries are small in front of Allah's mercy. Even if you don't understand the exact meaning, the emotional shift itself is the sign. The calmness you feel is the reminder. The softening of your heart is the message. Allah is showing you that you are never disconnected from Him. You are never alone. Even when no one checks on you, when no one understands you, when people disappoint you, Allah sends reminders in the simplest, gentlest ways to pull you back into His care. These tiny creatures enter your home carrying more wisdom than most people you meet. They teach you patience, humility, gratitude, awareness, simplicity, calmness, beauty, purpose, discipline, and trust. And when your heart absorbs that message, even for a moment, something inside you begins to heal. Your heart wakes up. Your faith softens. Your mind becomes clearer. And your connection with Allah grows stronger than before. And that is the emotional impact of these signs. Not the creature itself, but the change it awakens inside you. A reminder that Allah is close, that He speaks through His creation, that He knows the language of your heart even when you don't know how to express your pain. There comes a moment when you begin to understand that the world around you is not silent. Everything around you is speaking in its own way. The wind carries meanings, the rain carries mercy, the sunrise carries hope, and even the smallest insect carries a reminder that Allah has never stopped communicating with His creation. You just need a heart that listens. Part 4 carries you deeper into this reality. The moment when you realize that the presence of these insects can be a message about your spiritual state and how Allah wants you to turn back to Him. Think about your life right now. Maybe there is something you've been struggling with internally. You smile with people, but your heart is tired. You talk normally, but something inside you feels unsettled. You go through your day like everything is fine, yet at night you feel a heaviness you can't explain. You pray but feel distant. You make dua but feel like your heart is numb. You recite Quran but feel your chest is tight, as if something is blocking the sweetness you used to feel. And during those moments you might notice something unusual, a butterfly near your window, a bee sitting calmly on your curtain, an ant walking across your prayer mat, a ladybug landing on your notebook, a moth that suddenly appears when the room is dark. These tiny moments might seem unimportant, but Allah knows exactly when to send these reminders. When your heart begins to close, He sends something gentle to open it. When your soul is drifting, He sends something subtle to pull it back. Allah's reminders are never random, especially when they show up at the perfect moment, the moment when your heart is silently crying. Sometimes these insects come into your home because Allah wants you to pause and reconnect with nature. In our busy lives, we forget that we were created from clay, from the earth. Everything around us is connected to us. When Allah sends these creatures into your home, it may be a sign that you need to slow down, breathe, step outside, feel the wind, touch the trees, and remember that life is bigger than your worries. You were not created just to stress, to rush, or to drown in responsibilities. You were created to know Allah, to feel His presence, to find peace through Him. These creatures might also be reminding you of patience. Look at ants, how they move in lines, how they never give up, how they keep working even when the task looks impossible. Maybe Allah is telling you to be patient with your journey. Maybe your dua has been delayed because Allah is preparing something bigger than what you asked for. Maybe the path looks long, but Allah wants you to keep walking. The ant teaches you that small steps lead to big results, and consistency brings blessings. Bees remind you of something else. Your words matter. They produce honey, a healing for the body, but they also sting, which causes pain. Allah might be sending you a bee to remind you that your tongue can either heal or harm. Maybe you've spoken harshly to someone. Maybe you've hurt someone with words you didn't mean. Maybe you need to repair a relationship, apologize, soften your tone, or speak more kindly to yourself. A bee entering your home can be a message. Bring sweetness back into your speech. Butterflies remind you of transformation. They go through stages, from a tiny egg to a caterpillar to a hidden cocoon, and finally to a beautiful creature that flies freely. Maybe you feel like you're stuck in the cocoon phase of your life. You feel trapped, confused, unsure of yourself, unable to see what's next. Allah might send a butterfly to tell you that your transformation is coming, that the part of your life that feels dark and hidden is not the end, it's preparation. And one day you will emerge stronger, clearer, more beautiful in character, more grateful, more connected to Allah. Then there are ladybugs. They are known for protection. Their presence can be a sign that Allah is guarding you, even when you don't realize it. Maybe someone envies you. Maybe there is hidden harm you don't see. Maybe Allah is protecting your heart from people, from situations, from sins, from mistakes. A ladybug might be a reminder that Allah's protection is surrounding you even when you feel vulnerable or alone. But sometimes, the insects that appear are not the beautiful ones. Maybe you see spiders or moths or flies, and even these creatures have a message. A fly reminds you of humility, how small you are, and how much you depend on Allah for even the smallest piece in your home. A moth shows you how fragile life is. A spider reminds you of the story of the Prophet ﷺ during Hijrah, where a spider built a web over the cave to protect him. Even something as simple as a web can be a shield from danger. These moments remind you that Allah uses everything, big or small, to send comfort, warnings, healing, or guidance. But the biggest message of all is this: your home is not just a physical place. It is a spiritual environment, and when these insects enter, they may be telling you that something inside your spiritual home needs attention. Maybe your environment needs more dhikr. Maybe your room needs Quran playing softly. Maybe you need to pray 2 rak'ah of tawbah. Maybe you need to clean your heart from envy, grudges, anger, jealousy, or sadness. Maybe you need to forgive someone. Maybe you need to return to a habit you stopped. Reading morning adkar, praying tahajjud, making dua consistently, or practicing gratitude. Allah sends signs to soften your heart so you can draw closer to Him. And these insects, as small as they are, can be the spark that wakes up something powerful inside you. Because when your heart begins to see Allah in everything, even in a tiny creature walking across your wall, that is when true Imaan begins to grow. That is when you realize Allah is near, watching over you, guiding you gently, calling you back to Him in ways you never expected. So if you see these insects again, don't ignore it. Don't treat it like a meaningless moment. Pause, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what is Allah trying to show me right now? What part of my life needs attention? What part of my heart needs healing? What spiritual habit needs to return? Because these signs come at the perfect moment, exactly when you need them the most. Sometimes in life, the reminders Allah sends are not loud, they are not dramatic events, they are not dreams or sudden realizations or moments that shake your entire world. Sometimes the reminder is so small that you could easily overlook it. A tiny creature crossing your path, an insect landing gently near your prayer mat, a small movement that catches your eye just long enough for you to think, why now? And that one small question can change the direction of your heart. When these creatures enter your home repeatedly or at specific moments, it creates a feeling you can't fully explain. It may happen during a stressful week, when your mind is full and your heart is drained. It may happen while you are crying quietly, wishing for a sign, hoping for guidance. It may happen when you've been distancing yourself from Allah, when the world has been pulling your attention in every direction except the right one. And in those moments, even the smallest visitor can feel strangely meaningful. Allah tells us that nothing in this universe moves without His command. Every leaf that falls, every drop of rain that lands, every bird that flies, and yes, every insect that enters your home does so with His permission. So when these creatures come to you at unexpected times, instead of brushing the moment away, you can choose to pause and reflect. Because maybe that small creature is carrying a message your heart needs to hear. One powerful message these tiny visitors bring is the reminder to slow down. In our daily rush, we forget how fragile we are. We forget how dependent we are on Allah. Humans build houses, create technology, fill their days with plans and goals, but a single mosquito can take away their sleep. A tiny ant can remind them of discipline. A small bee can remind them of sweetness, structure, and order. One insect can interrupt your entire day. And that alone is a message you are not as in control as you think. Allah controls everything. But this realization isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to humble you, because humility brings barakah. Humility brings clarity. Humility brings you back to Allah. And many times these tiny creatures appear around you precisely in the moments when you need to remember how much you rely on your Creator. Sometimes their presence is a reminder to purify your home, not just physically but spiritually. Homes that are filled with dhikr, Quran, mercy, and gratitude feel different. They carry a calmness that you can't describe. But when life becomes difficult, when arguments happen, when stress rises, when hearts drift into negativity or sadness, the spiritual atmosphere of the home can change. These small, unexpected visitors can be gentle alerts. Clean the energy of your home. Recite Surah Al-Baqarah. Bring back dhikr. Open the Quran and let its light fill the space again. At times, these creatures appear during moments of emotional heaviness. You may be sitting alone feeling lost, wondering when your du'as will be answered. And suddenly, a butterfly or a ladybug appears out of nowhere. It lands gently. It doesn't harm you. It just stays. And in that fragile moment, your heart softens. You feel seen, even if you don't fully understand why. Perhaps Allah sent this little creature to interrupt your sadness, to pull you toward reflection, or to remind you that He has not forgotten you. Allah comforts His servants in unique ways. Some people find reminders in dreams, some find them in verses of the Quran, some find them during prayer or sujood, and some receive subtle signs through nature, the softest, quietest, most personal form of reminder. These signs feel intimate, as if Allah is whispering directly to your heart. Don't give up. I am guiding you. Look closely. Another message these creatures bring is the reminder to observe your surroundings. Nature itself carries wisdom. Ants teach hard work and discipline. Bees teach harmony, teamwork, and productivity. Butterflies teach patience, with transformation. Fireflies remind you that even the smallest beings can carry light. Ladybugs remind you of protection and gentle blessings. Each creature reflects a different lesson, and their sudden presence around you can be a nudge toward a specific quality you need to rebuild. Maybe you've been procrastinating, maybe you've been neglecting your goals, maybe you've been feeling spiritually disconnected. A sudden appearance of ants can remind you to get organized, to return to consistency, to rebuild your structure. Maybe you've been seeking clarity. A butterfly's gentle arrival can hint that change is near, that transformation is already happening, even if you cannot see it yet. Maybe you've been feeling spiritually low. A bee's appearance can remind you to bring sweetness back into your life, to speak kinder, to act better, to return to what brings barakah. And sometimes these creatures come as reminders of gratitude, a moment where you pause and realize that even the tiniest creation of Allah carries purpose. And if Allah takes such care of these tiny beings, imagine how much more He is caring for you. Imagine how much He is protecting you from what you do not see. Imagine how many blessings are quietly surrounding you every day. When insects appear in your home without harming you, they might also remind you to reconnect with simplicity, to disconnect from noise, to sit with your thoughts, to breathe deeply, to go outside and feel the wind. Listen to birds, watch the sky. Nature softens the heart. It pulls you away from the heaviness of dunya and brings you closer to Allah. These small creatures can be little doorways that pull you out of stress and into reflection. There is also a lesson in sensitivity. The sensitivity to notice signs, to feel reminders, to see inspiration in moments that others ignore. A believer's heart is not blind. It sees through the surface, it feels what others overlook. These small reminders strengthen your intuition, your awareness, and your ability to connect with Allah through everyday life. And ultimately, every reminder, big or small, leads to one place, back to Allah. Whether a creature enters your home, lands near you, buzzes around your space, or simply appears during an emotional moment, it can guide your heart toward dua, toward gratitude, toward patience, toward hope. And sometimes, the smallest sign is what awakens the deepest reflection. You may not always understand the exact meaning. You may not know why it appeared or what lesson it carries. But the comfort lies in knowing that Allah sees you, He hears your thoughts, He knows what worries you, and He sends signs in ways that match your heart's state. Nothing is random, nothing is meaningless. Every creation serves a purpose. And sometimes that purpose is simply to remind you that Allah is closer to you than you realize, watching over your life in ways you never expected.